so long as like alchemy.
Player goes home. Jackie, boom.
I think for the first time ever, I was relieved to see Anthony Davis as an opponent because it would have just taken a lot of the spice out of this matchup, right? He was a game-time decision with the strained elbow. Etwan Moore, surprisingly a very good player. Klay Thompson, what would he do for the encore on Halloween night at Oracle Arena? Let's get into it. And of course, right away, they go to AD in the post, over the top, Draymond 3/4, and he catches it over the top. But I want to be honest, we did not get full-fledged Anthony Davis. He had missed the previous 2 games, and you could tell he just didn't have his rhythm, his timing, or his aggression in this game. Klay, back like he never left. But that was his lone 3-point make on the night, 1 of 4 from downtown. Here's the outlet to Damian Jones. And I had mentioned in my pregame, I thought this was much more of a Jordan Bell type matchup because of the heavy 3-point attack that the Pelicans throw at you, right? But you saw him being patient. Klay rolling to the rim. And the way the Pelicans defend is they're going to play hard on the 3-point line. So the back door is open, but it also leaves you susceptible to turnovers. And then the Erky-Jerky Drew gets Damian in the air, his second foul quick. He only played 10 minutes on the night. Now, if you haven't caught the Pelicans play this year, they're scoring a lot of points. And the story early has been this man, Nikola Mirotic, really has been a 1-2 punch with AD. He's coming to his own in the NBA. You see Steph with a little pause and then gets right where he wants to. But Mirotic has been putting up huge numbers playing on the perimeter in contrast to Anthony Davis. There's Drew Holiday. They shoot a ton of threes. Gentry, you know the system. And there's the Anthony Davis effect. I'm going to point out several plays where there's no statistic for it, but it's just the impact of Anthony Davis in the area. There's a good look at Kevin Durant just letting somebody slip right in for the offensive rebounding, his lack of boxing out, and the sneak attack. And he's just picking the timing of when the switches happen. He's pulling the trigger right as the switch happens. It's devastating. And I liked Jim calling out Klay on that pass because it's like Jerebko is not looking to go to the rim and dunk. He should know that. And a lot of early turnovers really kept the Pels in this game. Steph, that's just crazy. That's a horse shot left-hand flip with the shot blocker on him. I thought they got Klay more early touches than we've seen, obviously, besides the Chicago game, so that was a good sign. The defender draped all over him in the corner there. Boy, the Lakers sure could have used this dude right now. I think they really misstepped letting him go. I know there was maybe some sort of internal beef between the Lakers and Randall, but I don't like the move. And then it's Dolph Lundgren from 3. I'm going to take that one out for a spin. Shout out Steve for coming up with that. And Jerebko continues to contribute in a lot of different areas on the floor. Looney, the dig in, and then Steph, I love him hitting the ground even though it makes me nervous. And then the Globetrotter trick to get up, the flip. And KD's been trying to dunk a lot. Have y'all noticed that? Something New Orleans does a lot is Drew is such a big point guard. He draws double teams in the high elbow with his size, and then they play on the perimeter, the big, so it's like an inside out with the point guard. Jerebko, the silly pass, but I love makeup plays. I love when a guy messes up and they don't hold their head. They just come back and make a play and make up for it. Jerebko getting it done. You know what I like? I like Jerebko and Looney on the floor at the same time in the second unit here because they're 2 super smart guys, always in the right spot. And now you can't do it against every lineup. A super fast lineup, it's not going to work. But they just always in the right spots at the right time, and I think it'll pay dividends. And then look at this. Out of nowhere, playing the passing lanes. Look at the wheels. Slows down and finishes it. And Steve, I think everybody was like, okay, Jonas, I see you, boy. I had mentioned the turnovers being a problem, 17 of them, a lot of them here in this first half. And Steph, I've stopped trying to understand why. I think Steph, it's just in his nature. He likes to play relaxed, and that's just a cost of that, right? And he knew that was silly. And then he took a second foul, which really compounded the mistake. And then KD on the break, great dime. McKinney once again playing in the first quarter. Pelicans were right there, and they were led by Mirotic in this first quarter. He's not just a shooter, man. He's basketball athletic. He gets it done in a various ways, right? He's just long and skilled. And then Iguodala, we've talked about this. He loves these end-of-the-clock shots. You knew this was going down. Splashes. Start the second quarter with a set here for Klay. Now, I said he'd only made 1 3. This looks like a second one to me. There was a foot on the line, possibly. I'm not sure. The box score says 1 of 4 from Klay from downtown. Now, this man, Etwan Moore, was 3 of 4 from downtown. I think he has the luxury of kind of being unaccounted for. When you prepare for the Pelicans, you're not worried about Etwan Moore, and then it bites you in the butt. Draymond, why not? he can reclaim his 16 form, man, look out, because the shoulder, I guess, is feeling better. And the three, he's dropping them here and there, and more Mirotic. And then here's the Anthony Davis effect. Look, Iguodala wants no parts of driving that baseline with Anthony Davis there. And so you don't see it in the box sheet, but his defensive presence, it just looms with him on the floor. That's a tough jumper. Guess who, though? McKinney on the offensive glass. And I think I've thought about it. I think he's the best offensive rebounder we've had since Antoine Jamison. Watch Iguodala here. He's gapping guys further on the perimeter. He's giving them more space so he can recover. And Moore is proven to be a shooter. That was a mistake. Talking again about New Orleans defense, they're super aggressive on the perimeter, so it does lend itself to turnovers, but you also get a lot of like butt-naked mistakes where you get wide open looks. That one led to the turnover in the transition three as New Orleans takes the lead on an 11-0 run. Kerr needs the timeout. There was quite a drought here in the beginning of the second quarter. Finally, the lid comes off. Draymond cutting back door once again. Here's a ESPN made-up stat. When Iguodala and Draymond both hit 2 3-pointers in the game, what is the Warriors' win percentage? I'm willing to guess it's somewhere around 1,000, right? So Steph with 2 fouls here, and you know Steph likes to get handsy. I thought he did a decent job here. He picks up the third, and Kerr leaves him in, and I like this because the only way you learn how to play it with foul trouble is to play with foul trouble. So I like Kerr playing the game within the game. Jordan Bell guarded Anthony Davis very well. I forgot how well he does. We saw this in the playoff matchup. He just crowds him, and he's stronger than him. But to be fair, AD again wasn't right. Watch Steph come down and pull up off this nasty in and out dribble here on the screen. And everybody has rhythm setters and tendencies. And Steph, when he hits you with an in and out and pulls up, it's almost a guaranteed make. He loves it out of the left hand. Pay attention to that moving forward. Out of the in and out pull, he almost never misses. Etwan Moore to the cup. Draymond sends it out. He's brought up wanting Defensive Player of the Year several times in the young season, and now he's starting to let his play talk, right? He's starting to show that he wants it. I can't ever remember Anthony Davis being this indecisive in a game, you know, so maybe he shouldn't have come back. But Katie, how about this stat line? 24, 5, and 8, and kind of just cruised to it. But what was interesting was he did play 40 minutes. That's more than I know Kerr wants to play any guy in a regular season game. We talk about matchups, and I don't think Randall is a good matchup for Looney because Looney likes to stay planted on the ground and just use his length. Randall is such a bulldozer that doesn't really work against him. You've got to make contact and eventually jump on Randall. He's just too physical. Another turnover is keeping New Orleans in this thing in the first half. Randall runs the floor better, as good as any big man, I should say. Clay, quick transition three, and then look at him getting his bag on this pass. I didn't know he had that. That's a nice dime to KD, step through physicality. Now take a look at Anthony Davis here. He has a little bit of Bambi legs going on. Like, we've all heard the story about how he grew like 8 inches one summer, right? And I think that you see it every now and then where he just doesn't know how to use or handle his big, lanky body, and he just takes a nasty, awkward spill, and it just happens a little too frequently with him, honestly. Him and Brandon Ingram. Here's halftime. Draymond starting the recruiting. He's like, hey, man, KD leaving after this. You gonna come in next, we get 3 more, all right? Third quarter, and we haven't seen those huge third quarter explosions like we did last year. But Steph, I don't want to downplay what he's doing, but he's just doing it every game. So it's like I don't mention it, but he had another 7 3-pointer night here. Here's an example of KD cruising, passing up the 3. I pointed out because, remember, he started last season like gangbusters, and then he started to cruise, so I wonder if that's going to start to set in. Now, I want to hold it here. Look at Frazier in his body position. You say, well, he's way out of position, but I think it's almost by design. They're so worried about the 3 ball. That's why Steph gets these huge bowling alley lanes to the rim. Here we go, Clay, alchemy rule, the pause of death. You see him think about it, and then he tilts to the side. But all in all, I think the slump is over. I think Clay, it's out of his mind now. Now, he didn't shoot a great, percentage, but I just think that he's over it, so he'll be just fine. Now, this one in the corner, no hesitation, just pulls it nice, soft, like a practice jumper. Now, we've all heard of a shooter's role, right? Well, what do you know about a chucker's chance? I like how he hops in rhythm like, yeah, I just splashed that, nothing but net. Now, here's a nice finish from Damian. I'm curious if Damian knows how to jump off 1 foot. I don't think I've ever seen him finish off 1 foot. I'm just curious if he's capable of doing it because the big plant isn't always the most efficient. Etwan Moore cleaning up the garbage. What do you have, like 21 points? I think he's a good archetype to compare McKinney to, just a fill-in-the-blanks guy. Now watch Damian Jones not recognize the role here. He's waiting. It's just too late. Steph's like, I'll just handle my own. But Damian still slow processing within the offense. Here's Mirotic, and I think we did a good job on him on the three-point line, just 2 of 7, but he still had 26 points, and he's not a one-trick pony, like I had mentioned. If you run him off the line, he can score in other ways. I love the wraparound pass. I love the wraparound pass there. In the past, that's been a lob or a bounce pass he can't handle. And then the sweetest sensation goes behind the back. All right, I don't know if that one will work either. I'm going to play with his nicknames, but he definitely deserves a nickname, Jerebko. It's really cool to see him just become, you know, a part of this team, and you're seeing him get more confident, and it's helping his game. He's making more plays, showing more and more. Steph, again, bang. Leading the league in scoring, 37 points, 9 assists. It may be getting beat more often, but look at that. Look at the wingspan and timing, and he knows. He's like, woo, woo, barely. But the old vet still has some tricks up his sleeve to be an effective defender. Peep the lanky, lean finish from Slim at the rim, looking like he's 6'3". And then Jerebko, watch him on Randall here. He's gonna get called for the foul, but I like the physicality. This is a guy like Randall, you gotta make him feel you. You can't just let him initiate all the contact, otherwise he will thrive at that. So Jerebko understanding that. And then Ian Clark gets in the game, clank, and here we go down the lane. Randall is a bull, and good thing Draymond's already got his son. Right, nasty collision, and somehow Anthony Davis lands on Draymond, so kind of a scary moment, even barring how tough Draymond is. Now, when he gets up and realizes the call is on him, it really ignited him to finish this game. He turned up after this. He was pissed. The reality of it is he was moving. He slides his left foot at the last second. Take a look at it. And so it's a good call. I also think the Warriors were playing the long game. They were doubling Anthony Davis despite him not being very aggressive in this game. And I almost feel like it's like in anticipation for maybe another playoff matchup where they won't double him. You know, they're kind of, it's like football strategy. They're showing different things just to see how he reacts. And then Draymond, when have you seen him make that shot? When have you seen him make that move? Again, one more AD effect here. Watch Iguodala wants no parts of him at the rim here. And you even see guys bobble the ball in transition when he's coming over because they're so worried about him. And it's just not a number you can put on it when you want to factor defensive player of the year type talk. There's Draymond battling it off Randall, and like I said, he was turned up after that moment. Steph, another one. One thing I'll say about him falling down to protect his ankles is if the shot doesn't go in and they push the ball, it's going to be hard for him to recover and get back into play defensively. Anthony Davis, towards the end of the game, you saw him get more comfortable and kind of find a rhythm, but it was too little too late at this point. Two things to make note of down the stretch was the Iguodala-Steph Curry pick and roll was prominent in the fourth quarter rather than the KD-Draymond pick and roll we had seen in the last few games. And then watch this play just out of a timeout as New Orleans had made a few baskets. There's the little slip screen, but then it's Draymond in the corner. See Bell? That's a design play. And then we've always wondered how come Dre doesn't move to the corner for the three ball. It's a shorter shot for his low trajectory. And then Draymond, I love that finish, man. He knew AD was sitting on the lob. And the Warriors get it done Halloween night as you get a look at Betty XL in the Oracle crowd. Alvin Gentry, anxious to get to his eyes wide shut party at an undisclosed location in the city. Now, all jokes aside, you know, it was a somewhat competitive game. New Orleans doesn't look like much of a different team, although Mirotic looks better. And then again, AD not being right maybe took away some of the luster of this matchup. Your boys got a little bit of spicy extra footage from the Pelicans telecast. We know DeMarcus left New Orleans on bad terms. Peep this.
So long as like alchemy.